guys? We are here again with the never-ending realm, and today is a special day because we're playing Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. And I have with me, as always, my good friend and co-editor, Mont Cessna Jr. How are you, Mont?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. This is actually might be my my favorite episode ever. I mean, we're playing my favorite game of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and this is we're playing it 22 years after the fact, and it should be quite a memory ride for us and those of you watching this Let's Play video.
Indeed.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get back to the title screen, and we're gonna try to get to the castle. You know, we're gonna try to get out of the forest into the castle in this section. And first of all, I mean, this was the intro back in the day, in 1998, and this was actually pretty impressive because we could see the horse riding and the big open field and the sky changing colors, which was very, very impressive. I think this might have been the first game to actually do this in full. Actually, Quest 64 did, but not in the way that this game does it. In full 3D glory. I don't know what are your earliest memories of this game, Mont?
I think the first time I saw it, I was at Toys R Us. Rest in peace, Toys R Us. But
oh yes.
Yeah, I was mesmerized by just the opening, and actually somebody had a save file on there. I was able to fight Ganondorf the first time I played it, actually, and got completely destroyed.
I see. Oh, that must have been a shocking experience. I mean, you must have been younger than me. You're about 3 or 4 years younger than me. It was actually, this game brings a lot of memories because this was actually 1998. That was my freshman year in high school. And I remember that I have been tracking this game for a few years on magazines and stuff, because back in the day there was no Google, so you had to go to the magazine stand and buy a magazine, and so you could see the screenshots and all the information. And the final game actually ended up looking a bit different from the screenshots, from the early screenshots. And I remember that in high school they had Channel 1, the channel that they had in the mornings in the homeroom. And they used to, Nintendo paid a lot of money, so they used to actually have a commercial with this like epic music. And I remember all the kids in the classroom, even those who didn't play video games, they would just stare at the TV and be like awe-struck. Like, I remember even one of the girls, one of the pretty girls in the classroom. She was kind of the popular girl at that point. She was just like, her mouth was wide open, just staring at the TV. It was a really impressive game, and I actually got to play the game in December, not in November. In December, I was able to get it. I was able to get the golden copy, which leads us to the next screen, which is this. I actually had 100% completion in this game, but I haven't played this cartridge for like 10 years now, and I think the battery just went dead. And as you can see, there's nothing. I lost all my progress.
Oh, the pain.
Oh, I'm very disappointed. I guess back in those days you have this. This was one of the games that had battery saved backups in the cartridge itself, so you didn't have to buy a memory card. And we got stereo. We have targeting. You can actually switch or hold the C button. We'll get to that later on. So we're gonna start a new game, and we're just gonna. I've seen some people doing some memes out there saying instead of putting Link, they put my dude in the.
I see.
Yes, in the actual name thing. And so we're gonna start our file here with 3 hearts, and here we go.
Yeah, what's your feeling on changing the name of your character? I don't know, maybe it's kind of boring, but actually, I always play as the name that the character is supposed to be.
I usually do that, but actually the first time I played this game, I mean, I was like 13, 14. I actually used my name. I wrote Samuel in because I wasn't sure what, and then I realized that I was always Samuel in the game, so
Yeah, I guess now with voice
after
acting for everything, you can't choose your name anymore.
yeah, after that in all of my playthroughs, I did use Link, and so we had the setup of the story, which is that there's one boy in the forest that doesn't have a fairy, which is our hero, and he's having a nightmare. And this was actually pretty impressive back in the day. That's the N64 couldn't do full motion videos, so they have to use the in-game engine to do this type of stuff, the cutscenes. And this was actually this was probably at the time the best game out there that was doing this thing, using the real engine to make cutscenes. And
so you could say this was like a pioneer, not only of 3D action games, but also
it was a pioneer in many things. But I think this was one of the things that it did really good. Like it did a lot of theatric and cinematic stuff in the own engine. And this was actually, if you research it, it was Miyamoto who said that. Who said if you want to have movies, you have to have movies that you can edit all the way up to the end. Because apparently, if you got CG movies done, you couldn't change them afterwards, even if you changed the game or whatever. So he said, if you're gonna make movies, you need to have movies that you can change all the way up to the end. So what they did is they used the in-game engine, and also obviously because N64 just because of the storage limits, it was more convenient to do it this way.
Definitely.
And the tree is talking to the fairy, and it's saying that there's malevolent forces that are mustering to attack our land of Hyrule.
Yeah, the juxtaposition between the story in this and the story in the Quest 64.
Yes. And and it's funny because Zelda has never been considered like a literary masterpiece of sorts. Yeah. But this was it was the first Zelda game to actually have a proper story, and proper dialogue, like a lot of dialogue and stuff. This was the first Zelda, and it is difficult because Link is a silent protagonist. You know what I mean? So Link never talks.
Yes.
So it seems that the time has come for the boy without the fairy to begin his journey, and it was interesting how they used to highlight the important bits in like the names and stuff, like Navi's in blue, as you can see. So he doesn't have much time, so he has to go and find the kid Link. And this is one of the great things about in-game engines. There's no load screens, and you could just this was how the game looked. And this was pretty magical back in 1998. I don't think I had ever seen anything like this. Quite like this back then.
Oh, no, definitely, yeah.
I mean, this was way ahead of anything. I think the only game that you could actually just say that looked better was probably Half-Life, but that was on PC, and the hardware there was a little bit more expensive, and it was just a different type of game too. But in terms of console gaming, this was the holy grail at the moment that it was released.
Oh, I mean, I would say that the models and everything definitely better and more developed in this game than the original Half-Life.
I mean, yes, that's a good point you touched. That was actually one of the things that this game did. Like, remember the N64, a lot of the characters used to be blocky and stuff.
Yeah.
Link and most of the characters here. Can Hyrule's destiny really depend on such a lazy boy? That's Nintendo PG humor.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good
but
stuff.
But as you can see, one of the things that every time the fairy, goes over Link, you can see the lightning change on his character. So this was actually the first Nintendo game, I'm pretty sure, that had real light sources. Meaning that if you use a torch, or if the fairy gets close to you, the lighting on the character and on the environment changes a bit, depending on the light source. That was
that really impressed me the first time I played.
Yes, that was very groundbreaking in those days. Because if you remember Mario 64, the lighting on Mario was always the same. He could be on a cave, he could be on the outside, it was always the same. Now this is an interesting. You can change the camera, I think. Did I change the camera? How did I do it? Oh yes. You can hit the C up button and you can change the camera here. Here you can appreciate the model. That's actually an amazing looking character model for 1998. You could see that his eyes, his mouth, his nose, his eyes would move, blink. It was like right now, I mean, to I guess new guys, to new people, this would look blocky, but in those days this was like as real as you could get. A very good detailed character model. The indoors in this game were actually pre-rendered. This isn't full 3D where he's running around.
Yeah.
This is actually a pre-rendered model like Resident Evil and Final Fantasy. So they, for some reason, they did the indoor stuff like this in a lot of places. So now you go out of the 3 and it's full 3D again. And this was just, the music, everything was just magical. And even the fireflies that you can see in the environment, I don't know if you can appreciate it from your point of view, but that was just very magical in those days. That's Saria right there, and I remember I used to do backflips like this. I used to like to do them like that. So you get down and you speak. Wow, a fairy! Finally, a fairy came to you, Link. Wow, that's great news. I'm so happy for you. Now you're a true Kokiri, Link. Is that right? The Great Deku Tree has summoned you. It's quite an honor. You know, I have replayed this story so many times. Like I played this and I have played the 3DS version. But still, I actually prefer the color palette in this version because it's darker, and it just feels better. I'm getting goosebumps here because this brings back memories from 1998. This was a game that I really spent a lot of time in it. Like the game doesn't have an internal clock where it keeps time of how much you play, but I am pretty sure I haven't played a game this much. Maybe Skyrim, but no other game I ever played this much. So what we have to do now, I mean, you have to figure this out when you play it if you don't have a guide back in the day, but you have to find a sword and you have to find a shield in order to get to the tree. We could go to Mito, who's blocking the entrance, and he will tell you that, but we will lose time, so we're just gonna get to the sword. You have to go through this hole right here. Which, you know, it switches into first person when you're crawling holes like that. And here we got the first taste of some, you know, like a small puzzle here where you have to get to the sword. And if you can see, there's a boulder right there, and you just have to follow the boulder.
Yes, I remember when I was playing this as a kid, I got very lost in the forest.
Yeah, but because in those days, I mean, this was the biggest game in that era. Like kids now, I guess, you know, if you play Breath of the Wild, which has like, I'm not sure how much square miles it has, but it is a lot. And you know, this game is very small compared to that, but in those days this was like a whole new world for us. So you have to equip the sword, you have to go to the menu, and the menu was very interesting. It was very complex actually. So you equip the sword, and you can save too. And here we go, we have a sword now, and we have to make sure that we don't get run over by the boulder. So you have to switch the camera. Oh, here we go. The actual camera was actually very intuitive. Here we go. Because you could fix it right behind you with the C button. And this was one of the innovations this game had. You could align the camera by just pressing one button. And you could use C targeting too. Like you could hit the C button to target specific stuff. Like if I wanted to talk to this dude, or just pick this rock, right? So I just hit C, you see, and it's targeted. So I will always move towards the rock, and all I have to do is hit the... weird. Why can't I pick it up? It's strange. Either way. Or I could switch to him and speak to him. And this was something that was a problem for many developers back in the early days of 3D, because they couldn't really target. They didn't know how to target stuff. So you know how you fight in Grand Theft Auto sometimes, that you're fighting somebody and you end up punching some innocent bystander or something. It is funny because Grand Theft Auto came out after this, but Zelda kind of got it right from the first try. they just had a targeting system with the one button, and it just targets whatever you want to target.
Yeah, the targeting system and the camera controls are very, very important for any third-person action-type game. Possibly the most important part.
And one of the things also you could do is that the game had an automatic jump thing. You know, you run to a ledge and Link. There's no ledge here. Oh wait, here. And Link automatically jumps. And it sounds weird in theory, but in practice it works well. Like it really worked well. Like you could just approach the ledge and he would jump. He would, he jumps to the. See, like. So right there, they're giving you a tutorial. And if you look over there, you can talk to her with the C targeting, right? So, but we're not gonna do it now because we need to find about 40 rupees, I think it was, in order to buy a shield. The water effects were actually pretty nice. Like even the steps, as you can see, they ripple the water, and the water looked really nice. In those days, for this game, it was just such a step up from Mario 64, and pretty much any other game. You could also go in first person to appreciate the graphics, get closer. This was just nice. So now let's find the rupees. I think where you got lost, Mont, was in the Lost Woods section.
Oh yes, I haven't played this game in like 10 years at least. The last time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember all the stuff because I played it so many times, but it feels a little smaller than it did back then. But this was just magical back then. Like I remember, this was just like I actually, as a kid, this might sound stupid, but I actually had dreams when I used to go to sleep, and I dreamt that I was in the Zelda world, and I don't know. Have you ever dreamt that you were in a game, Mom?
Not that I can remember.
Well, this was the only one, I think. Even Mario 64, like I really loved that game when I was younger, but I never had the same. It just wasn't as magical as this. Maybe my imagination was just at a higher point at that. When I was 13, 14, that seems to be the peak of kids.
Oh no, I've actually did dream I was in the original Mario Brothers on the NES.
What? Well,
and it was like a 2D dream. It's pretty not nearly as cool as this.
But that's actually, I don't know. I mean, the 2D dream is not that bad. That's what I got here. As you can see, the draw distance isn't exactly. It was actually very impressive in terms of. Let me see if I. You see, you can no longer see the girl that was there. You can see the fairy that was on top of her.
Mm-hmm.
But the draw distance wasn't very great in some aspects. Like, you can see the end of the wall, the end of the forest at the other side, the end of the village, which was impressive because N64 games used to have a lot of blur. So that was impressive. But the characters themselves, as you can see, if I step a little bit forwards, she appears. You see that? And she disappears. You see it? And she appears.
Yeah.
So the draw distance wasn't exactly the greatest. When in those days, it was hard to notice. It was very hard to notice. And in fact, this game is actually running at 20, if I'm not mistaken, 24 frames per second.
That's
not running.
Not bad for a.
No, it's not. No. You're right for a N64 game, but it doesn't feel like 24 frames per second. It feels like 30. And it's really, like, it's mostly smooth. It's not like it's stuttering or anything. It's not like a Castlevania on the RAM pack, which is nearly unplayable. Maybe we should do a Let's Play of that someday.
Wasn't the RAM pack made for Castlevania?
No, it was made for... Because Castlevania, you can play it in both. Like in the... Not Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. You can play it in the high-res mode, and you can play it in the low-res mode, standard.
Yeah.
It was made for Donkey Kong 64 bundled the RAM pack in, but it was because of a glitch. Apparently the game could be played without the RAM pack, but if you didn't have the RAM pack on, it would crash because of a glitch. And it still kind of crashes supposedly if you leave the game on for like 12, 13 hours. Yeah. But nobody would play for 12, 13 hours, I assume, of Donkey Kong 64. So the other game was Majora's Mask, the sequel. I had like used the RAM pack. It was I think it was mandatory for it because it wasn't just for high resolution. Like the texture work and everything actually used the extra RAM. Perfect Dark used it too for some modes, some game modes. Like you would only have a few game modes if you didn't have it on. I need 3 more rupees and I can't find rupees. I think some of the rupees. Let me see. Here we go. Here. You can pick up these things. See, it's a pre-rendered background. Okay, 2 more rupees. And we're home free. Okay, here we go. This is a 5 rupee. Now we can buy the shield. Someone, how much? Did you just fight Gandalf from Toys R Us, or were you able to get anywhere else?
Oh, the first time I played it, yeah. After I got defeated, I started a new game, and yeah, then I played it again later.
I think I remember playing one at Toys R Us 2 that did have.
Yeah, they had like the full actual versions of games at Toys R Us back then, which was really cool.
It had the game right at the entry of the castle in the final level, I think.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder. I mean, were kids there to play for hours? I mean,
maybe their parents just brought them to Toys R Us and left them there.
Right.
I mean, they did have like free, like gummy snacks and stuff sometimes. I don't think the employees would have been very happy if they knew that they were just unaccompanied children.
Yeah, but that was cool that you touched upon that. Now I'm not sure. Like, GameStop left Puerto Rico years ago.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore at all.
Are they in Illinois or where you live?
No, they're bankrupt. There's no GameStop anywhere.
Oh, I see. Well, when they used to have it, I remember they used to have some games. They used to have some games running, but it was usually demos. It wasn't like full games. And you're right, Toys R Us did have full games running there, and I do remember the controls were pretty beat up, like the sticks. Some of the joysticks in the controllers were kind of beat up because so many people play them. Here we go. We are going right. We're going right into the tree now, and if I'm not mistaken, there's gonna be some. Oh yes, we have to get this down here because we're gonna use the sticks. I hate this though, the explanations. I guess it was nice the first time, but if you play this game over and over, you still get the tutorial stuff, and it's just like overkill. But alright, so we got to the tree, and now he's gonna tell us a whole story about how I'm not sure if this is when it happens, but he does tell you a story of how the world was created at some point. So I'm just gonna try to skip this as fast as I can, and take the opportunity to talk about why in our top 10 Zelda games I voted this to be the best Zelda game ever. And one of the reasons is obviously because this actually has the highest Metacritic rating of all time in any game. It has a 99 rating. I don't know, Breath of the Wild came close, and I guess other games have come close, but this still holds. I mean, this was just, I remember when it came out, it was just getting straight 10s everywhere. And
I mean, would you
and
say
because
it's the best game on the N64?
yeah, I think it is. I mean, some people will disagree. Maybe you disagree. I think you love Star Fox.
Yeah, I do. I do love Star Fox the most.
I mean, the N64 had a lot. You know, it didn't have a lot of games, but the games that it did have from Nintendo and Rare at that time. Oh Jesus! He almost killed me. The games were just excellent. So, but this was it was so groundbreaking in 1998. Like Breath of the Wild. Like if you ask me today, which game is better? You know, this game or Breath of the Wild or or Twilight Princess. It is possible that Twilight Princess is Breath of the Wild are more fun to play today. Obviously, it's been 22 years. But at the time when they came out, I mean, this is how you should rate games. I think historically, like at the time they come out, because it's unfair. You know, it's unfair to compare something that came like 2 decades afterwards in just better technology and. But when it first came out, there was nothing like this. Like Breath of the Wild, it wasn't the best looking game around when it came out in 2017. There were plenty of other games on the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 that looked better. Obviously, because the Switch is not as powerful as those systems. So she's telling me about the vines that I have to climb up. But when I just don't know that there has ever been a better game than this at the time when it came out. Like there was nothing in 1998 that you could say about this game that there was a flaw on it. Like seriously, like it was just that amazing at the time. Like now, I guess looking back, hindsight is 2020. You can say that the frame rate was at 24 frames, and you know what I'm saying, and that Half-Life was a little bit more advanced in terms of graphics.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, you have to realize this was the most powerful console at the time, and this is all they had to work with.
No, that's true. But this, just in terms of 1998, when it came out, this beats any Zelda that came out afterwards. I mean, I can't recall a single game. I think the only game that I was actually not this impressed, but close to this impressed. So obviously we can't go up because of the spiders. So this is standard Zelda procedure. You just go to the next place and there's a door. I guess Skyrim when it first came out was kind of impressive in 2011, especially if you played on the 360. If you played on the PlayStation 3, it was a mess. I don't know if you remember all the issues that the PlayStation 3 had with Skyrim.
Oh yes. Remember your friend P2? He was always lamenting when it would freeze before he could save.
Yes, yes, because that it was so glitchy. It was a totally different experience on the 360 than on the PlayStation 3. But I actually was lucky enough to play it for the first time on the 360, and at the time it was also mind-bending because it was so huge. Like when you first come out of the early part, when you go out into the world, it was just so big, and the mountain ranges and everything, and it still can't quite compare to how it was. To how I felt to play this the first time. So hurry up and grab this. So just for the sake of speed, I'm not gonna go overboard trying to find everything there is in the dungeon. So that's a slingshot. That is a very useful weapon for Child Link. I think this was just okay. We have to equip everything you get. You have to equip, and this was actually fixed on the 3DS because you have 2 screens, so you can just go on the bottom screen and equip stuff. And,
yeah, I always found the slingshot stuff really cool. How they use that in the puzzles and things.
Yes, I mean the puzzles. That's good you touched up on that too. The puzzles in this game were just. They were not that hard that you would say, oh, this is impossible, but they were very clever, and they used every item available on Link's.
Yeah, the thing that really got me angry was the water temple, which I heard they made easier on the ports later on.
Yeah, the 3DS version, it's not that it's easier, it's that, the boot changing was annoying because you have to keep changing boots. And because of the second screen on the 3DS, you don't have to pause the game. You just, you stop it and you get your boots on and off. And in this game, you have to continuously pause and change boots. I forgot that this was, the aiming was inverted, like up is down and down is up.
Yeah, I always found that annoying. I know a lot of people play like first-person shooters that way.
Yeah, me too. It's awkward.
Yeah, I can't play first-person shooters that way. But I do like flight simulators. I always play inverted, obviously. Then again, I like to play with the joystick, an actual joystick.
So, are you looking forward to Microsoft's flight simulator that's supposedly coming out?
I used to actually own Microsoft Flight Simulator for the PC.
So they're making a new one now. Supposedly, it's gonna have every airport in the world.
I see. I mean,
that's gonna be very interesting. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think even back in like the early 2000s, the Microsoft Flight Simulator I had, like, if you're going to take off in a plane, you actually had to like know how to actually operate the plane. Like, you had to do all the switches. You even had to like prime the fuel pump, like you're starting a lawnmower. Yeah, it took like 10 minutes to get ready to take off, even like a small plane. Some of the combat flight simulators are a lot more fun. I don't see how people enjoy flying around like small personal planes for hours, because like the game's in real time. That would be boring as heck.
I mean, I do wonder about that. Like, if it's gonna be so realistic, that it's gonna take you like 4 hours to get from somewhere to somewhere.
Oh no, that's how the game is. Yeah, I mean, I think you can go at speed mode when you're an autopilot or something.
Yeah.
It slows down the flight time, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like games like I used to like Falcon 4 back in the day. That was a good one. That was really hard. It had a good. I mean, it's a lot more fun when like people are shooting at you or you're shooting at people, I think, than just flying a regular airplane. I mean, nobody plays like a regular car simulator. It's a racing game, you know.
Yeah, I think the PC people actually had the better simulators in those days. I mean, my flight experience is only amounts to Ace Combat, which was more like an arcade flight simulator.
Yeah,
I mean, not even a simulator. It was just an arcade game. So you see, Link right here, his illumination. If I turn off the look, his illumination is actually influenced by the torch. That's groundbreaking. That was groundbreaking those days. Yes, you know, if he goes in the dark like this, well, I guess you could still see the torch from that side. But his illumination changes depending on what side of the torch he's at. Oh, I hit that again. So let's go back out. So now we should be ready to move on, and we have to take care of this dude right here. And it should be fairly easy with the slingshot.
Yeah, I always found the monster design in this to be quite good.
Yes, it's actually quite. I mean, it would be scary for a little kid, I guess. And it's not that childish. So we have to make a jump so we can break the net. And this actually took me a little while to figure out the first time I played it.
Yeah, my brother actually had to. My little brother told me how to do it. I got stuck on this part as well.
Here we go, and we are down. And this was impressive too. I mean, back in the day, it added verticality to the level.
It almost reminds me of Tomb Raider a little bit. I guess Tomb Raider kind of copied some aspects. I mean, they're both third-person action games.
Yeah, I mean Tomb Raider was actually too very groundbreaking in its heyday.
Oh, that's the other game I had a dream I was in.
You see,
I was not Lara Croft though, if that's what you're wondering.
yes. So right here
That'd be a weird dream.
in this game you actually can collect school tools, and if you get 100, you can unlock a lot of stuff. And there's also a glitch that you can get like unlimited amount of them. But we're not gonna do it now. We're just gonna try to get this one with a backflip. And there you go. I got it. This will be my first one in the whole game. So the idea now is that we have to get that fire across to that web. Let me see if I can see it. If you can see it there, there's like that white web across the room.
Yeah.
But we can't get it wet, so we're gonna have to use clever stuff. And we did. So obviously this is very easy now, but back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like 10 years old, it's gonna be a lot harder too.
The first time. I remember those days there was no YouTube, so you actually had to figure it out yourself or just buy a guide.
Yeah, or you could call one of those. Well, Sony really had it, where you call the number and they charge you like how much a minute for tips.
Nintendo had a line like that too. Yeah, but that would be expensive. 2, 3, 1. Okay, 2, 3, 1. That's the order that we have to follow later. So we have a big eye. So obviously we have to target the eye, and it opens. It's puzzles are not gonna be. This was a little complicated. This one. You can dive because we're gonna have to dive and press the switch and then get out as fast as we can so we can make it to the other side before the water level rises. So basically, this level is just an introduction to all the stuff that you're gonna be doing in this game.
Yeah.
There you go. And right now he can only dive about 3 meters. Or something, or 3 feet, 3 meters, I guess. Oh, here we go. But eventually you get some items that will allow you to dive deeper. And just the actual environment and the mood in the game was just unsurpassed in those days. Like you actually did feel like you were inside a tree. And
pretty big tree.
Yes, it's an epic tree. A lot of stuff I wanted to talk about that because you have a lot of historical knowledge. Doesn't a lot of stuff here remind you of Peter Pan?
Yeah. Yes, I mean he is kind of dressed like Peter Pan. If anything, you would think he is Peter Pan, basically. I don't think Peter Pan had a shield, but Peter Pan had the same outfit and sword and everything.
And the kids in the forest never grow up. So
I see. Kind of like the
Yes.
Lost Boys, yes. Yes, the Lost Boys, those poor Lost Boys. I mean, they are called the Lost Boys for a reason.
And now he's Tinkerbell.
Yes, I mean, Tinkerbell. I wonder if like the game developers, they watched Peter Pan. They're like, oh, we can make them elves and we can combine this. It's interesting too because historically Peter Pan has actually been played by a teenage girl in the plays and things.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah.
But isn't Peter Pan an elf too? I mean, I seen isn't the Disney cartoon, doesn't he have like pointy ears too?
I think he does. It's been so long since I read the original book, but he is definitely some kind of like magical person. I mean, well, he can fly obviously and never grows up, but.
And I guess the tree can also, you can go back to the Lord of the Rings, to the ants.
Yes, that's true. That's true. You wonder why the tree just doesn't defeat Gandalf himself. I mean, Ganondorf.
Gandalf, yes. I mean, even is Gandalf sort of the name. Gandalf.
You wonder if like the game designer, who's the game designer for this? Is it?
It was Miyamoto, Shigeru Miyamoto. He created Zelda, and he actually did direct and produce this one.
Maybe he just fell asleep watching Peter Pan and reading Lord of the Rings, and this is what came from his mind.
Well, I mean, he was inspired by his childhood expeditions to the mountains in Japan or something, where he used to go to caves and stuff. That was his original inspiration for the first Zelda, I guess. But I guess the lore of the game and stuff, I'm pretty sure he did take a lot of it from. I mean, everybody did from the Lord of the Rings, and for this game specifically, I think Peter Pan. Now, I mean, there's just too many things that are alike. I forgot which door I had to go to. I don't think it's not this one, because this one you have to put a bomb, but we don't have bombs yet, so it is this one. We need to get a torch, so we're gonna go get a torch. It's pretty far. Hopefully I make it. Miyamoto did this, and then every other game he was the executive producer, and he left Aonuma to direct the games. But if you read some of the interviews, he pretty much comes in like every day and tells them what to do and not to do. Maybe Breath of the Wild was actually mostly Aonuma himself, and I guess Miyamoto was still sort of a consultant. So we have to get this box down here so we can get that the fire over here, so we can break this final net and we can beat the boss. We can fight the boss, and hopefully we will not die here like we did in Quest 64. Because that would be pretty bad for a long fan, for a long Zelda fan to die.
Yes, I hope you're not going to die on the boss fight. That would be.
That would be bad. That would suck. But this game is actually a little more forgiving in the sense that it's 3, 2, 1. That's what he said, right? Or 2, 3, 1. Yeah, so I have to kill the middle one first, I think it was. I have to hit the middle one first. And excellent. We go to the third one. And I mean, this is the third one. And yes, and now we go to the last one here. Oh! So it was not that order, it was. Might be this one. And this one. Okay. So we can go to the final one, which will be this one.
I have to say, in comparison to the Quest 64, these are much more interesting creatures besides the kobolds and rabbits and dogs and things.
Oh. Okay, how do you know our secret? Now he's gonna tell you how to kill the big spider. No, this is another level. I mean, this was. I mean, it's just it's such a better game, and now we're gonna see the boss. And this boss was actually pretty impressive in those days. It wasn't as impressive as the second boss, the one, the big lizard in the cave.
Yeah.
But this was quite impressive, and you had the fog in the ground. You can see the mist. That was a nice effect, and the fairy. You see how it gets dark when the fairy goes in the pocket. It's just, the lightning was impressive in this game. So now what we have to do is we're gonna have to look up, so we can look for the spider. And as always, my screen is a little darker than anybody, than it should be, because it is an HD TV. So I wonder. There you go. I see it. I see it now. And he's looking at me. and we have a nice transition between real-time gameplay and in-game gameplay and cinematic. And this can only be possible if you're using the in-game engine. So this was really cool. Oh, here you go. You hit it with the thing, and then you slash. You have to hit it with the slingshot first. And you have to slash it, and the spider will go up to the roof. And you see, targeting is really nice here because it keeps the boss on view. And now she's gonna throw some eggs, and we have to destroy the eggs before the eggs hatch, because then they're gonna be like, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. Kill all of them and kill the spider once, and we have to run away because she's gonna come down. My microphone, I'm gonna pause it. My microphone came down too with the spider. Jesus. All right. Okay. And we are back in the fight.
Is it still recording?
Yes. Okay. There you go. Slashing. And there's a powerful attack that you can do too. This one, but I'm not doing it for some reason. So we track the spider again, and we will take off the C targeting so we can see the eggs when they come down. Actually, if I'm honest with you, Mont, after Zelda Ocarina of Time, the only game that I felt that was just as groundbreaking, and well, not as groundbreaking, but close to it, was actually the first Halo. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time you got like big combat like that, first-person shooter. It's interesting because Bungie actually made a very highly acclaimed series of real-time strategy games before they made Halo called Myth, I think.
That was before. That wasn't that. Wait, didn't they make the one that was actually connected in terms of storage with Halo?
Oh yeah, they made Marathon.
Marathon, yes, I heard about that one.
It's actually
so that we killed the boss. We got an extra heart, and we leave. Unlike Quest 64, you can actually just teleport out of the dungeon.
Oh, you don't have to save and then.
Yes, you don't have to backtrack. Now we get to the story. So you're saying Halo?
Oh yes, it was interesting because I was reading some of the game magazines before the first for Marathon before Halo, and they were actually talking instead of like being a super soldier, you were actually a plumber on the spaceship, and there was going to be elements of like hiding, like disguising yourself as an alien and things. And I'm glad they scrapped all of that because it sounds awful in comparison to what we ended up getting eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a weird game. You said plumber, and I just think of Mario, and
yeah.
With the mustache, and for some reason, people say plumber, and I think of Mario. I think of the little Italian plumber.
Oh, yes.
So.
Unfortunately, I watched that Mario movie, and now my impression of Mario is forever damaged.
You mean the one in the 90s with the John Leguizamo and that other dude?
Yes.
Yes. I think Nintendo had some weird, it was a weird time period for Nintendo. Like they did that, and then they had the Mario cartoon. Do you remember the Mario cartoon?
Oh yeah, I used to actually watch that. That
wasn't that bad.
Power Hour or whatever.
Yes, that wasn't that bad actually. And they had Zelda. They had like a Zelda episode like once a week or something. And but I remember they did have the Philips CDI Zeldas, which are infamously bad. Like
perhaps we should do a play of that.
Oh yes, but it'll be very expensive to find a copy. Like I'm pretty sure those copies, I have to look it up. I don't know if you can look it up yourself, but I know those copies have to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Even though they're trash. Um, so we're looking at the creation of Hyrule here by the goddesses. But either way, Nintendo was weird in those days. They used to license their properties weirdly. They don't do that anymore.
Yes, yes.
So we got that bad Mario movie. Thanks to that. I actually don't remember the movie very well. I think I actually tried to forget. I can't remember the movie very well.
It might be best that you don't remember it.
Yes, I think consciously I actually tried to forget this, and you just brought it back. Like I'm remembering the giant turtle things that look
like dinosaurs
weird,
or something.
Yeah, they look like weird dinosaur aliens or something. It was weird.
Oh, did you hear that the next Zelda is in development, and they it's going to have a new designer. They're going to have Kojima is going to be designing it.
Oh no. Oh, that would be so weird. That would be like Link on acid, like on a trip of acid, and he's. I don't know. I mean,
he'll be on a beach, and just thousands of dead Navis everywhere. It's like, what does it mean?
I think Kojima is a genius, but I'm not one of the people who actually appreciate his genius. Like I did love the first Metal Gear Solid and the second Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, those were solid games. I think even the third one was pretty good.
They were solid indeed. No pun intended. But the fight I downloaded the fifth one for the PlayStation 4 because it was like $5.
Yeah.
On sale, and I still haven't. Like I played like 3 hours of it, and I got bored, and the intro section was just so freaking weird. Like the only thing that is logical that I can make any logical conclusion is that it was just the person was just having like a clonopin, lorazepam, kind of like acid trip.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that can explain all the weird stuff that I saw happening in those opening scenes.
Yes.
And then Kojima proceeded to make, I guess, Death Stranding, which looks absolutely amazing because it is running on the Horizon Zero Dawn engine. But I hear that it's a walking simulator. Like,
yes,
I haven't bought the game. Because people complain that all you do is kind of walk from one place to the other, and you have to balance out when you're walking.
Yeah, you have to balance the load.
Yes, I just don't think. Maybe it would be fun if I play it, but just the premise alone does not really. I don't find it attractive at all. Like,
I mean,
it's not something like
you could just do that in real life. You just walk around at night with a heavy backpack on. And like a dangerous neighborhood, and you could have exactly the same thing.
Yes, I mean, it comes. That's the one thing that like shaming and all this stuff. Like, if you have to do it in real life, why would you want to do it in a game? Like,
yeah, it's
like it would be a hassle to walk like that in real life. Wouldn't it be a hassle in a game?
Indeed.
It's just so we got to leave the forest. Annoying Mito is gonna get in the way again. When I was little, I always wanted to just beat the living daylights out of Mito.
Why?
He was so freaking annoying.
Yeah, he looks like a character designed for people to hate.
And Nintendo just doesn't allow you to beat NPCs up. I mean,
it has to have its PG rating. Come on.
And that's kind of the Japanese thing to do in those days. Like, remember, Chenmu had that problem too. Like, Chenmu was very restrictive in what you could do.
Yeah, you couldn't play like GTA. I mean, that would make getting the money a lot easier than having to work a job.
So we get to leave the forest, and living the forest back in the day, that felt epic. That was just an epic moment in those days. And there's Saria, Link's first love. And
I know. I always wished that he got with her. I always thought that.
Me too. I mean, but the thing is that the Link does grow up, and she doesn't. So that would be weird. If they did get together.
That would be weird, yes. That would not be PG.
But then again, it would be weird that she's in love with him now because she's probably been alive for like 500 years or something. And Link is only like, I don't know, what is he? Like 10 years old now?
Yeah.
So technically she is 200 years old. This is almost like, remember when the first Mortal Kombat movie?
Oh yes, the thousands of year old princess whatever.
Yes,
with Liu Kang.
when Liu Kang falls in love with her, and Johnny Cage goes like, "Oh, but look, he's like, she's like 1,000 years old. 10,000 years old. For God's sakes."
Well, she certainly doesn't look it, but
That is true, but this is sort of the same situation, except this is weirder because obviously she's a child, so I don't know.
yeah, or kind of like in the Lord of the Rings with the elf princess and Aragorn.
Yes,
But he's already a grown man then.
True.
I do think the Rangers live longer than normal men because of something.
Yeah, I think he might have been like 120 years old or 70 years old, but in that movie or something that like he was telling.
Yeah, I think they lived to like 300 or something. There's actually more Rangers than just him too, but Peter Jackson cut all the good parts, I think, or some of the good parts.
Oh, this is Hyrule Field, and this was truly jaw-dropping back in 1998. I mean, this was the biggest chunk of land you could find rendered in 3D in those days.
Yes. Well, did you want to save the video now, and we'll come back to it on the next video?
Yeah, I will try to get to the castle and Castle Town and drop it there. It should take us like 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the stupid owl.
You seem to have a lot of anger for the NPCs in this. Is this like a result of getting 100% completion? You just resent everyone?
No, I played so much that it's just boring now when they just interrupt the good parts. I mean, this is supposedly he's a sage, apparently the owl. So you know he's been around for a while and he knows all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And he's just giving me some instructions that I already sort of know because I played this game so many times. So the problem, the thing, do you get all that? You have to be cautious here because if you hit no, he will start talking again. So I'm gonna talk real quick here. This was a jaw-dropping moment for me when I was little, the first time that I played it. And it's just so huge and so beautiful. Like I still find it appealing. But in those days, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's
just
like good, good artistic design. Like I noticed, the Final Fantasy games look. Well, a lot of Japanese games, it's like they have better artists, so they can make do with like less polygons and stuff like that by just better art, basically, better art style.
So this one, do you see this change? The sky's colors are changing. It's getting reddish and it's going into evening. And this was just a goosebump moment in those days because I never seen a game that turned from day into night in real time.
Yeah, it like adds some danger to it too. Like you want to get to the castle before nighttime.
Listen, I don't know if I did. I don't think I did. No. Oh. And the skeletons come out. Because it's nighttime. But it was just mesmerizing. I can go in the water and just wait for the morning, I think. Yeah. I'll just go here and just wait for the morning. So we're going to leave it here. We're going to save. The problem is that if I save now, I'm still going to get back to the forest. But that's no problem. But I guess we could do a second part of this eventually. So saved. And what? Final thoughts on this playthrough that we did?
Maybe it's because of the video we did on Quest 64, but I have newfound respect and love for Zelda. I mean, I always liked A Link to the Past the most. This one is, I don't know, you might... so long ago, I think I was in college too then. I actually beat the whole game.
I actually have A Link to the Past. Out of respect, I have it at number 2 in the list that we're going to publish.
Oh, yes.
And, but yeah, this is, I mean, my final thought, at least to what we have played now, this was the groundbreaking moment of 3D game, I think. And, you know, apart from Mario 64, this was, it was really like, just the lightning, the real-time changes, the big world, it was so seamless in those days. This was like a pioneering open world game in some ways. It was a masterpiece. We're gonna leave it there for now, guys.
It almost makes me want to go Switch since I can play the new one.
True. guys. And number 2, like and subscribe, and follow the page, NERetro.com. Mom, can you find me closing words?
No, I'm just excited to get on this and be able to remember coming up. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Visit the website, NERetro.com, and check out the Facebook page.